So there's different reasons why we go to YouTube, but it's kind of, we break it down into 3 different types of mindsets, really. We get some people who are looking to do their research and review products and kind of understanding more about products. You get some people that are kind of really ready to make a purchase. So like, they're just like really close to making a purchase, almost credit card in hand, and they're like typing and watching videos, like I was with the buggy, for example, or the stroller. Do you call it stroller or buggy?
Stroller, yeah.
Stroller, okay, cool. Yeah. And then likewise, you get some people who are interested, but are no way ready to buy, but they're like, hey, I love this stuff. It's like I'll go to watch Gary Vaynerchuk's videos, and I love his stuff, but I'm not going to go and buy something from him, unless maybe he puts something in front of me, but I'm not there for that reason.
Gary, sell us something.
Yeah, I will buy. And so it's kind of like you have different people at different stages. So we have these 3 different mindsets, and the beauty of these 3 different mindsets is they actually translate to the offline world. So I think a lot of the time when it comes to advertising, I think with digital advertising especially, there's all this jargon, there's all this kind of like complication about data and how many clicks and how many sales do we make and how many impressions, how many views, and what's our stick rate like, and all this sort of stuff. Whereas sometimes when it comes to any advertising, I like to just massively simplify things and just say, if we take it offline and imagine it was like 20 years ago, what would be the interaction we'd have with human beings, sort of thing. It's not just data on a page, it's actually people behind this data. So we try and really understand what people are going through. And we've realized it kind of comes down to different mindsets. So people that are interested in this stuff, and this goes for Facebook as well, if we know what their interests are, we call them window shoppers. It's like if you had a bricks and mortar store and people were walking past, they'd be walking past and they'd be like, oh, like, that was cool. And they would just stop them in their tracks. If they carried on walking, they were never interested in the first place. Yeah. But if it's enough to make them stop and look, that's kind of like they're a window shopper, they could be interested in what it is you have to sell. So that's kind of like the first mindset. The second mindset is someone who's like almost in your store already. They've researched you out, they've kind of come to your store, and those people are likely to be asking questions. They want to know a bit more information about things and have questions about making a closer decision to whether they're going to buy or not. I know that when I'm looking for a car at the moment, I'm looking for certain things in a car. I'm doing my research and finding out information about what sort of questions I should ask about the car I want to buy. And I'm at that stage now. I'm not ready to buy just yet, but I'm more than interested, but I'm just like needed to know more information at that point. And I typically go to places like YouTube for that. And then you also have what we call checkout shoppers as well. These people have made their decision, they know what they want, and they're at like, imagine if it was 20 years ago, they're at the store, credit card in hand, and they might just have a few more questions like, oh, what's the kind of warranty on this? What's the guarantee situation here? Just wanting that little bit more kind of confidence in their purchase they're about to make. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So they're really close to buying. And we have those same people online, but we try and imagine them offline because we can then communicate a lot better with those people. Yeah. And this all goes through a buying line, so to speak. So it goes from like almost window shopper to in-store shopper to checkout shopper. And if we know that's the journey, we just need to move them along the line quicker and capture them at the right moment as well.
I want to kind of address this because if you've read like the .com Secrets book, I talk about like cold track versus warm versus hot. And where a lot of you guys who are successful is because you're selling, so we have right here, window, in-store, and checkout. Like a lot of times you have your customer list and you're good at selling them, so you're like, this is where you're good at. And then like you try to run ads and you're like, my stuff doesn't convert, nobody's buying. And it's because you're speaking to people like that are, they love you already, and you just have to be like, hey, buy my thing, and then they just buy it. And like you have to understand like every step back, like it's a transition like how you speak to people, right? Like you're speaking different, you're creating different things, and so it's like that's the key. So for those of you guys who are like, I'm trying to scale my business, and I know that inside of this group, like everyone's always like, that's the question, how do I scale my business? Like my warm audience is buying, but I can't get bigger. This is the key, is like learning how to step from this to this and kind of going back to the beginning, because not everybody is here. This is small, right? Like it's a funnel. Like there's our funnels, right? It's a funnel, and so it's understanding like the more people you can bring in the beginning, then the more can come in on the other side. So anyway, when you were mapping this out today, I was thinking through that because I'm like, that's my whole world. I always look at things that like, for us, like when we're driving ads, we have different funnels for each of these. Like our warm market, there's one funnel. When we go, or assuming our hot market, there's one funnel. For our warm market, there's a different one, and for our cold market, it's different. And how we position on each of those funnels is different. And so like when you explained that, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's how I look at funnels, but you're doing the same thing through the videos and how you target the videos. And so anyway, I'll let him jump into that, but like it was so cool to see like how similar like what I believe in what you were saying is on just different spots, but it's the same way. It's so super cool.
That's the thing, is that I'm not reinventing how to advertise at all. I'm just like saying, these are the people that currently exist. on YouTube, and this is what's going on. And so, yeah, we try and categorize it. Like, the great thing I think a lot of people do is that in the back end of their business, they would have and with ClickFunnels, et cetera, there's like all these different contingency plans. Like if they do this, then this happens. And you can have all of that. And it's like amazing email marketing and everything else comes into it. And then what most companies do is like, great, we built this huge thing. Here's one ad. It's like, pull out that out to everybody. And it's like, oh my God, let's just try and reverse that a little bit and say, there's also these people at different stages who are going to buy from you and not buy from you. And if you have someone who's at the checkout, you need to talk to them in a completely different way than if it's someone like just peering in through the window. You need to grab their attention, you need to get them interested in what it is that you have and then sell to them. So it's a bit more of a break it down per customer and then think about how you're going to communicate to them.
So cool.
Cool. The other considerations that we'd have as well with the targeting options, and I just wanted to mention this now, is that you've got things like genders that you can say, right, I just want to advertise to males or females. You can do it by location, so you can down to a zip code or out to international, whatever you wanted to do. You can do it by device and mobile, tablet and desktop, and also time of day. So you can schedule your ads so that you can say, right, I just want to run my ads in the morning or in the evening or whatever it might be. It means different things for different companies, but the normal thing I talk about is like, say, for example, you're a hair salon and you're advertising to get more customers to come to your, to get a haircut with you. Then someone looking up like best hairstyles on a Friday evening is more probably someone who's looking to like do their hair up for that evening to go out for a night out, probably not looking to go to the salon. Whereas on a Saturday morning, if they said best haircuts or something like that, they're probably more likely to go and book in for a salon because it's like a different time of day and different search behavior as a result. But just kind of keeping an eye on how things are different for different businesses, basically. Cool. So now that we know where people are at, like with the different moments in time, like when you pick up your phone, like you could be a window shopper, you could be a checkout shopper, you don't know if you're on your desktop, for example. Now we can work out what we would say to these people, and that kind of comes down to the perfect video ad. So when we look at the three different types of customers, if it's like a checkout shopper, as you were just saying a minute ago, it's like you sometimes just need to give them action to say, hey, look, go and buy this now.
Here's where you give me money.
Precisely, yeah. It's like they already know who you are. They love what you've got. They're kind of really close to making a decision. It's just like, buy here. I think a lot of people always try and motivate people more, whereas sometimes you just make it easy for them. Just say, hey, just buy it here. This makes it
it's like
simple.
a salesperson who like you're bought and you're like credit cards out and he tries to sell you and you're like,
I'm already
outsell you. You're like, I gotta go, and you just, you know, it's
exactly.
like you could have had my money if you would just sort of stopped.
Just stop and let me know where to buy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so true. Like, but yeah, that's the kind of like the most important part. It's like making sure you just ask for that action in the video, and we call it CTA is obviously call to action that we tend to talk about. It's slightly different for YouTube, and I'll walk through that in a second. But with call to action, there's a specific way of doing it. This recently actually changed on YouTube, so I'll talk about that shortly. If we're looking to get in front of an in-store shopper, these people are in-store, probably talking to like a sales rep 20 years ago, asking them questions about the different products on offer, for example. And those people, we need to actually give them advice. That's what an in-store sales rep would have done. They would have said, hey, look, here's some good advice for you. Maybe ask them some questions, for example. And for that, we need what we call it education. So kind of obviously education as an ad, but we're trying to provide them with actually useful content. It's like we always say, like, be useful or be there and be useful. So make sure you get in front of your customers and actually give them a hand. Like, not many people love being bombarded by YouTube ads. I mean, like
some nerds like me do, but the majority of people probably don't.
Yeah, I don't know that many people who say, yes, another YouTube ad. Not many people say that.
It's funny, in our team, like we literally like share ads. Like, did you see this guy's ad? Like, we're geeks, so yeah, most people don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's so true. And most people are just like skip ad. As soon as they practice like skip ad like 20 times, and then it's like, finally, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now I can watch the video I wanted to watch. So obviously, that first 5 seconds is really important, and that's what comes down to this next section, which is what we call attention. So, like, we need to grab people's attention from the very beginning, and we use a methodology called a schema violation that we'll talk about. Sounds very fancy, but it's just a psychological term, but it's really easy to understand how this would work. So, if we're to structure out a perfect video ad, we actually look at it and say, right, the first thing we need to do is, if we need to grab the attention from the very beginning, we do the schema violation. And really what we're doing there is we're doing something unexpected for the viewer and something related to the message you want to have. So the reason why this is really important is because every day, like, let's say, for example, so just behind the cameras right now, there's a door and with a handle on it. And if you saw that door, you'd know what to do, right? You've learned that at some point, how to kind of get through a door.
Yeah.
Not too difficult. But you've kind of learned that in your head, so it becomes what psychologists would call a schema. So you just like every door, you can make a generalization about and say, okay, I kind of know how this is going to work. Whether it be an electric door and it just opens automatically, or if it's a push or pull or whatever it is, you kind of learned it and you don't need to worry about it or think about it. But then if there's a door you couldn't get through, that's where things get quite interesting for you, what happens in your brain. So I've recently had this situation. So I moved into a new office and it's quite embarrassing. But there's these 2 glass doors and you have to use a pass as well as like you have to put in a code at the same time, and it's not easy. But it's 2 glass doors so the receptionist can see you. And on the first day I had like a load of stuff on me moving into the office and I was trying to kind of use the card and do it. I just couldn't work it out. And because everyone is inside looking at me, I just felt like I can't work this door. So they're all laughing, making me feel really embarrassed. And at that moment in time, my schema for doors, like my generalization about doors, had been completely shattered. I was like, okay, I now don't know how to work doors any longer. But at that point, 2 things happen. One, your attention is solely on that task then. You can't think of anything else, it's just purely on that task. But the second thing, which most people don't realize, is that like it also opens like almost like a portal to the core part of your brain in a way that you're going to listen to anything to try and relearn quickly about how to use doors, because it's like a survival mechanism. Like in the past, it's like if we wanted to survive against prey, then we'd have to learn really quickly. And that's kind of, it grabs all our attention and then we're ready to learn. And at that point, you're also willing to learn pretty much anything. Like someone comes up to me when I was like trying to work the door and said, no, what you need to do is tap your leg 3 times and then it works. I probably would have tried it. Like, no, it still doesn't work. And then I would have felt even more embarrassed. But you're kind of like, you're looking for any learning at that point. And so if you actually have really good teaching for somebody and move into that kind of education section, what you'll find is they'll learn it, but they'll never forget it as well. It's kind of like, it goes into their brain. It's like, it's almost like what we call Velcro. It's like once you get all the hooks and loops stick, you'll never get unstuck again. It's kind of like you're really building that such a strong bond. And it's like if you remember back to your childhood, you'll probably remember like really good videos, like ads on TV, because there's so much information on a video. Like I remember there's like I don't know if you have a chocolate bar called Milky Way.
Yeah,
okay,
Milky
cool.
Way.
So they used to run an ad in the UK. It was like the red car and the blue car had a race. I don't know if you ever had that. No, okay. So we had the red car and the blue car had a race. And for me and so many other children of that age as well, remember that ad so clearly, just because it was like just a different type of ad. But I would never be able to remember a billboard or a radio ad, like, because it just doesn't have the same effect. Like an image or audio doesn't do anything by itself. With video altogether, you remember it really well. And so that's kind of like how video works so well. But this schema violation idea can work really powerfully. So you need to do something unexpected, but then make sure that unexpected thing is also related to your content, so they actually learn what it is they need to learn. And we've got an example here of Frank doing this, it's a good one.
My name is Frank Kern, and I have been kicked out of a strip club in the daytime on a Monday while I was working. But it's not what you think. I was on a sales call, and my boss had sent me to this strip club owned by a gigantic former amateur pro wrestler, and I was to cold call this fella and sell him a credit card machine.
Okay. So that's the video done. So yeah, so you can see how that sort of like video would grab your attention from the very beginning, and you're like, oh my God, that's like perfect. Because it's like, it grabs your attention, it's something unexpected, but then it relates to the content. So Frank will go on then and like talk about content that will relate to selling and making sure it's really effective.
I wanted to stop, like, that was insanely brilliant. And I want, like, everyone should rewind and we'll listen to what he just said for the last 5 minutes, like 10 times.
Okay, so if you enjoyed the video and you want to receive more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe. You'll see the button on the video right now.